Hi YouTubers out there. How are y'all doing? Well, today we're looking at the Ruger 1022. And what you're looking at is the action of a Ruger 1022 stainless. Well, we put a Simmons 3-to-9 power scope on this. And it has the Ruger scope mount, which comes with every rifle. And this scope mount allows you to put regular big game scope rings on there, or you could use tip-off rings also. And these happen to be Simmons tip-off rings, comes with the scope. Now we also put a BSA flashlight right on the scope, and there's a laser on the other side with a cord that comes around and is velcroed right here for a right-hander's fingers to hit the switch. And if you hit the switch, the laser is on, and you regulate the laser to hit bullet point of aim at, say, 30 yards, and you are good to go. Now our laser here happens to be regulated for 25 yards on point of aim. But what happens then is if you shoot closer, the bullets actually hit low of the laser point. So here's the Ruger 1022. Very handy, light, short 22 rifle. And it's a big seller, very popular with shooters. It's modular, and there's aftermarket parts galore for this rifle. Now it uses these ingenious rotary magazines that's kind of borrowed from the Mannlicher Schoenauer rotary magazine. Now, Bill Ruger was something of a firearms genius when he designed a lot of firearms back in the 50s and 60s. And so you see here from an issue of Gun Digest, the Ruger 1022 carbine. This is an article published in 1965. And it talks about how Bill Ruger started the design on the 1022 in 1963. But you look at this rifle, and you look at the present day rifle, the present day, the bottom of the receiver, the way it breaks down, the modularity of it. There's the trigger group. There's the bolt, the receiver, and that it uses a mounting block that's screwed into the receiver to hold the barrel into the receiver so that there's no more need to tighten the barrel on with threads. That was ingenious. And here's that rotary magazine. So this very nice 2-page article written by T.R. Rusful back in 1965 on the Ruger 1022, which is new at that time. Now the disassembly of this magazine is done on other YouTube exposés on the disassembly of the Ruger 1022 magazine. They're very good. I recommend that you look at that. And shooters should seriously consider buying a 1022. This rifle is reasonably accurate. It's not a tank driver unless you give it a matched barrel, but in its factory condition, it's a very good 22. accurate enough to do whatever you need to do. Reliable. When it gets dirty, it might have some jamming problems, but that takes about 200 rounds before that'll happen. Plastic butt plate. But it works. And with this laser on there, it makes it very easy to aim and hit from the hip. Let's take it to the range and see how that does for us. Now we're going to shoot the 1022 Ruger with the laser sight at 11 yards. So here we go. We're going to go 10 rounds, 5 on each target. Now the laser is actually regulated for 25 yards. So I have to actually aim at the 10 o'clock position or the 11 o'clock position on the circles in order to hit the centers. So shooting fairly fast. Let's see what happens. Not bad for fast shooting with the Ruger 1022 laser sighted. So YouTubers, here's our 1022 with the laser beam. And you see how easy it is to hold that beam right where you need and trip the shots off. And the switch is very good. You let go of the switch and the beam goes off. You put the switch on just by pressing and the beam is on. This beam is good for out to about 50 yards. And really impressive in low light. Now there are those shooters who still hold a grudge against Bill Ruger because of the stand that Bill Ruger took on magazine capacity. Kind of like he sold out the shooters of America. And certainly his company now has gone back into the high capacity business. But the damage has already been done with all the legislation in certain states that keep the magazine capacity from going over 10 rounds. Whether you hold a grudge against Bill Ruger or not, the firearms are still excellent. So if we hold grudges against the companies so that we don't buy Ruger products, we're still kind of shooting ourselves in the foot, so to speak. Not a very good idea, because the Ruger 1022 is an American classic. Nice thing you can do with the Ruger 1022 is if you get an aftermarket stock for it, this is a factory stock, but if you get an aftermarket stock for it, you could use the factory stock and saw it off so that you can start young shooters with the 1022. And as you saw it off, you can actually put it back together as they grow so that the gun will continue to fit them, and then put on the aftermarket stock when they're fully grown, whether that be a son or a daughter, so that they can enjoy shooting this rifle for their whole lifetime. YouTubers out there, some gun writers have made the case that every American family should own a Ruger 10/22. Well, I'm sure there are a lot of Marlin Model 60 and Marlin Model 795 lovers out there that would give that some argument, but you won't get an argument from me on that. I would recommend that the family should own a Ruger 10/22 and a Marlin. But even with iron sights, this is a very fun gun. It comes in blue finish also. And it comes in other versions, tactical version with shorter barrels, heavy barrel versions, and certainly we can customize this to our heart's content because of its modularity. And I'd like to show you a video in the future that shows some of those other possibilities that we can do with the Ruger 10/22. Thank you very much.